You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Good morning. Welcome to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM 312-255-8408. You can also get us on youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sakowitz, the rector of the cathedral, and co-host Mark Teresi, executive director of the cathedral. And by the way, Mark, I'm very impressed that our engineer producer, Michael May, is doing this by himself at this point. He's running back and forth like a crazy man.
He's got a powered chair.
He's got a powered chair back and forth,
Battery
flying
pack.
like crazy. So now, folks, today is the Feast of the Immaculate Conception, December 8th, a holy day of obligation. And sometimes there's like the myth or rumor, Immaculate Conception is not the birth of Jesus. Right. It's the birth of Mary without original sin. So it's regarding Mary's birth, not the birth of Jesus.
So in her womb, she can carry the perfect child.
Exactly. So sometimes people think, oh, the Immaculate Conception is she gave birth to Jesus. No, that's Christmas morn, but it's Mary born without sin. Again, our phone number 312-255-8408. And how are you doing, Mark?
Good. You know, I want to invite our listeners and viewers the Rector's Christmas concert tomorrow at Holy Name, 7 p.m. If you go online, holynamecathedral.org, you have to reserve your seats, but the tickets are free. So that, but also our noon Mass on Monday in honor of Our Lady of Guadalupe, our nuns, the Oblate Sisters, renew their vows at that Mass. It'll be a beautiful liturgy. So 2 invitations for our listeners and viewers.
And a beautiful concert with Rich Daniels and the City Lights Orchestra. He is phenomenal. His entourage around him is fantastic.
And Father Greg does 2 selections from the Messiah. They're absolutely stunning.
Folks, Mark Teresi has the singing voice. I do not. I have trouble singing Happy Birthday.
We do. We sing. There's a sing-along. The second part of the concert, we sing.
Yeah, but watch me. I just kind of mouth along. and you have the microphone. If anybody notices that I will give you the microphone, I'm just kind of moving my lips.
We'll see.
Silently. Great program lined up again on number 312-255-8408. The 16th annual Posadas Seeking Immigration Reform will take place on Friday, December 16th. All are welcome to walk and pray in solidarity with our immigrant sisters and brothers who, at the Holy Family, sought a place to stay, have been knocking on the doors for legislative shelter or posada year after year. This year, Pastoral Migratoria, the Archdiocese of New York and the Archdiocese of Baltimore will join us simultaneously to elevate our voices for immigration reform. Joining us for the first half hour is Mark Goebel and Mauro Pineda. Mauro, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Father Greg and Mark.
Welcome.
Now, Mauro, I was talking to Mark Teresi off the air. You went to Niles College, correct?
I sure did, yes.
Now, what years were you there, Mauro?
I was the last graduating class, actually, so 1994.
So which
right.
means then I recruited you as a college freshman seminarian in 1990.
I'm sure you did, yes.
Yeah, I see. I really stick out in your mind. I can tell.
Yeah, really. It was memorable.
Memorable event. But so when I met you,
but I do remember you fondly, though, Father, because you played a pretty big role when the Cardinal passed away. You were really important during the last Mass. And so I remember you fondly. So
And that would have been 1996 with Cardinal Bernardine
Oh, wow.
with television. You
yes,
have a good memory, but I remember. Now, you came from the high school seminary and entered as an 18-year-old college freshman.
correct.
Wow.
Which Quigley? Would it be
That would have been
Archbishop Quigley?
Archbishop Quigley.
Quigley South.
They had merged.
Quigley South.
Yeah, Quigley,
Quigley
South.
South?
Yeah. And then at,
Yeah.
and Mark, where are you from originally, Mark?
I'm originally from Pennsylvania, Erie, Pennsylvania.
Erie, Pennsylvania. When did you come
Yes.
to Chicago?
I came to Chicago. This would have been initially in 1995.
95.
Oh,
So you've been in
wow.
Chicago 27 years.
I went away for a couple of years. I went away for business school, and I came back here.
Now, the question
And
I
worked
have
in
for you, Mark,
Chicago.
is are you a Steelers or Eagles football fan?
I am neither. I'm actually I almost am embarrassed to say, Cleveland Browns fan.
You're
How did that happen?
Okay, that's interesting. How did it end up being? How do you get Cleveland coming out of Pennsylvania?
It's the influence of my father.
Oh,
He's been
okay.
a diehard. Both my parents are from Cleveland.
Oh, there it is.
And
There it is.
I just identified with sort of the spirit of the Browns back in that day, with
Jimmy Brown
just,
and Frank Ryan, those
the
those-
diehard,
yeah.
Trying hard and not giving up. And they had a few good years back
Yes.
when they had Bernie Kosar.
Yes.
And
And
just
go
really,
before that to
grabbed
Jimmy
me.
Brown, probably made the greatest runner, one of the greatest runners in the history of the game.
Well, I had a question. Business school to now immigration reform. What was that journey?
That's all God's doing.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was in supply chain consulting here in Chicago after business school, and my faith really became something which was much more of a living reality in my daily life. And I worked in some young adult ministry groups, and one thing led to another. I started taking classes over at Catholic Theological Union, and then gradually got connected with the Catholic Campaign for Human Development with the Archdiocese, and met my eventual boss, Elena Segura.
Oh,
And
wonderful,
I've
wonderful
been
woman.
with the immigration ministry ever since its inception in 2000, and I joined in 2007.
Now, here's a little bit of a tie. I think you'd probably be involved. So we have our concert Friday, Rich Daniels City Lights Orchestra. And Rich Daniels he's the conductor of that orchestra, but he's been involved in your immigration group, hasn't he, with the Archdiocese?
He's really done miraculous work. He's really phenomenal. I don't know how he finds the time to do what he does, but we just held a big annual fundraiser called Keep Hope Alive at one of our great partners' facilities, St. Ignatius College Prep. And
Sure.
we were delighted to be able to honor him with our Lifetime Achievement Award. And he truly deserves it, not just for our work, but for missions across Chicago and beyond.
He's very
Beautiful.
incredibly generous. He'll
Yeah.
be with us tomorrow evening at the Cathedral,
Right,
Rich Daniels and the City Lights Orchestra. And maybe for a moment, Mark, give us the history of this whole group, this immigration reform group, going back to the Archdiocese of Chicago, and the importance of it. And we just got to keep moving this train forward. So give us a little bit of the history.
Sure. Well, back in 2005, when it seemed that Congress was poised to act on immigration reform, of course, we know what happened. It kind of fizzled. But that same year, the U.S. Catholic Conference of Bishops had launched the Justice for Immigrants campaign, the Catholic Campaign for Immigration Reform. And there were several objectives, including to educate for greater awareness about the benefits of immigrants and immigration to our country, the need and benefits for immigration reform. And there was also an important advocacy piece to that mission. And the third piece was to provide services for for immigrants. So to help them, have a legalized status in naturalization. Of course, that last piece could not happen because reform did not pass.
Right.
So that actually led to the development of really one of our truly important ministries today, which is Pastoral Migratoria, which is very closely connected with the Posadas and the Posadas and the movement of the Posadas, not just across Chicago, but across the whole country.
Now, Mara, what about your journey we talked a little bit about the college seminary, from the college seminary now to immigration reform. What were major steps in that journey?
Right after Niles, I went to work as a missionary in Mexico. It was a partnership that Cardinal Bernardine had set up with the Diocese of Chilpancingo, Chilapa.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to work as a lay missionary for 3 years after Niles. And so I always stayed connected with the church. I decided not to move on to Mandalay. It was a personal decision, but I've always been connected with the Catholic Church, and this working in this mission was one of those things. But the thing that connects me to immigration, I believe, is when I was 6 years old, I was brought to this country undocumented. Mm-hmm. And so for 10 years, I was, what people would call, we were trying to move away from the word illegal, mm-hmm. but I was, undocumented for those 10 years. And so, when I came back from the mission, I eventually went to Catholic Theological Union, got my MDiv, and decided that I would work. My ministry would involve immigration in one way or another to help the people who are, today in the same situation that my family was in when I was a child.
Mm-hmm. That's a great story.
Yeah.
Maybe for our listeners, Mark, we talk about the Posada. What is that all about? What does the word mean?
Sure. So Posadas are modeled on our Mexican religious tradition. And you touched on it, Father Greg, earlier in the program. It reenacts Mary and Joseph's journey to Bethlehem. And as we know, they traveled from place to place, most likely, and they were seeking shelter before the birth of Jesus Christ. So really, it's a symbolic search for shelter. Our immigrant brothers and sisters have been knocking on the door of this country for shelter, and they are today's Marys and Josephs. Much like the Holy Family, they're vulnerable, and they're seeking shelter and protection, but also often face rejection. So the Posada celebrates the importance of hospitality and welcoming. During the Posada, which we'll get into more in a moment, Mary and Joseph are symbolically turned away at several locations before they're finally welcomed with open heart and open mind at the final location, where they can finally find a safe place for the birth of Christ.
Well, let's do this.
Great summary.
Yeah, it is a great summary. And why don't we do this? Why don't we take a break? And when we come back, let's continue to educate people to the Posada. I remember at the college seminary, when I was dean of students, we did the Posada every year. I mean, we were trying to teach the seminarians about it, and people really, it's a very emotional experience.
Yes, it is.
We'll be back. WNDZ 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408. You go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We'll come back, talk to Mark and Mauro more about the Posada and how people in our archdiocese can get connected with it. We'll be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
Catholic Charities' Refugee Resettlement Program has been especially busy this year, assisting individuals and families who have fled dangerous situations in their homeland, including Afghanistan and the Ukraine. The Refugee Resettlement Team helps with everything they need to start to rebuild their lives in a new country, including housing, employment, clothing, food, English classes, and referrals for legal and immigration services. The refugees are tremendously grateful for the compassion and practical help they're receiving, and they're giving back and helping each other plan for a brighter, safer future. Volunteer opportunities are currently available for those who would like to be family mentors and tutors so children and adults can practice English. To learn more about these rewarding opportunities, call 312-655-7096. That's 312-655-7096.
I feel special. I feel great. I got good grades.
We've seen a huge surge in our kids now meeting or exceeding grade level. Come check us out. You may have never thought we were an option before.
Catholic Charities' 75th Annual Celebration of Giving is underway in support of those who are struggling to make ends meet every day. Individuals, families, colleagues, neighbors, parishioners, and friends purchase thousands of gifts and basic necessities to ensure Catholic Charities' clients and their families have a joyful Christmas morning. There are many ways to get involved, including online wish lists that make giving easier than ever before. If you can join us in this special Chicago Christmas tradition as volunteers and donors, please email us at cog@catholiccharities.net. That's cog@catholiccharities.net. Or call 312-655-7401 in Cook County and 847-782-4210 in Lake County. Thank you for helping us spread Christmas cheer this year throughout Cook and Lake counties.
We're back, WNDZ 750 AM, Catholic Chicago 312-255-8408. You can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sakowicz, Mark Teresa here. Father Greg, you had a question for our guests.
First of all, did you notice, Mark, that the last commercial with Catholic Charities was the golden voice of our producer-engineer, Michael May. The golden
well
decibel
done.
voice. Very, very well done, Mark, or should I say, Michael. Mauro, quick question. That is, in the tradition of your background, why is the posada such a phenomenal, strong Mexican tradition?
Well, I believe that the story of Christ means so much because of the fact that they were seeking shelter. So we're reenacting the story from Matthew, where Mary and Joseph they need to protect the life of Jesus when where he will be born, and so I think it represents we see the struggle, the desperation perhaps in both Mary and Joseph. And we see that same desperation in our own lives and that comparison. And that's why, we have the Posadas every year. Posadas take place every day, from the 16th all the way to the 25th.
That's right.
there's a posada every day. And so I think that's the reason. It's that suffering that need to find refuge, from our situations, that connects us to the posada so much.
And it's interesting. Our two youngest daughters are adopted from Mexico, so we spent a lot of time in Mexico. But one of the things I learned from the folks in Mexico was what a personal relationship they have with Mary.
Oh, absolutely.
That the one woman that we were working with said, I was speaking with my lady. I mean, it's a very, very.
Or if you notice, Mark, right behind Mauro, for those that are watching live stream, is the screen widens. There is Our Lady of Guadalupe,
yeah.
over your right shoulder, Mauro.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very, very huge and very, very visible.
It's a beautiful way to make the journey real for us for today. And
Absolutely.
I was wondering, is it live? Give us some specifics. Is it live, Mark? Maybe is it live? How are you connecting with other dioceses?
With Baltimore, New York.
I'm kind of fascinated by that.
Sure. Excuse me. So it is live, and we are grateful and blessed that because the COVID pandemic has lightened up quite a bit, we're able to do it in person. Mm-hmm. For a couple of years, we had done it entirely online, but so it's done live in downtown Chicago on December 16th.
Beginning where, Mark?
I'm sorry?
Beginning where?
Okay,
where
so
does it start?
The route is that it begins downtown at the USCIS Immigration Office, which is at 101 West Ida B. Wells Drive. Mm-hmm. And then we process to 4 other locations, including across the street to the Metropolitan Correctional Center, followed by DePaul University on East Jackson Boulevard, and then the Federal Plaza. And then this year, we are going to be ending up at a different location than in past years. So in past years, the final location where they had opened the doors to welcome Mary and Joseph was St. Peter's in the Loop. But this year, we are very delighted to say that it's going to be Old St. Patrick's Church. So those are the 5 locations. And then, yep.
I was just going to say logistics, just as people are listening. I know some cannot navigate downtown real well. If they're coming and they're driving, should they park at Old St. Pat's at that parking lot, or what are the logistics for people? I know public transportation would be recommended, but anything you can give our listeners in terms of how to get there and where you end up.
Mara, would you like to share something about that?
Sure. One of the things we would recommend is if you could park closer to Old St. Pat's and then walk to where we're going to begin. Ida B. Wells used to be known as Congress.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
And so it's on Congress. We used to be Congress and LaSalle. And then from there, we go to the different points. And so we're going to end up at Old St. Pat's, so that way your car will be closer to the parish, or park somewhere in between as well would make sense. But yes, I think public transportation would be the most recommended. Mm-hmm. And especially if somebody is unable to walk that distance, then you can wait for us at the parish. Mm-hmm. When we get to St. Pat's, we are going to have coffee and hot chocolate and pan dulce, for people to, it might be a little bit cold. So,
I think bank on it.
Coffee or hot chocolate will be very, very good.
Now, a question mark on that is, for those making the entire walk, what time does it begin? What time are people meeting?
Sure. So we begin at 11 a.m.
on Friday, December 16th?
Friday, December 16th.
If you do the entire route, how long is that? Is that a couple of miles?
It's usually it's about a mile. I haven't calculated it since we changed the final location to Old St. Pat's.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably it might be a little over a mile.
Okay.
But it's pretty close to a mile.
So this is no
And
Chicago.
if
This is
people-
no Chicago Marathon.
No.
No. If anyone cannot be there with us in person, we realize there's not everyone can do that. It will be live streamed. It'll be live streamed on Facebook. So people go to our the webpage which you are showing. There is a link on there.
Now, who's
Otherwise, if you go to
videotaping
Facebook
the
and
walk
type
as you
in
go along?
Pastor Migatoria.
Now, who's actually going to be videotaping? Is it going to be the office down here, Michael? We're going live stream, which means the entire route will be live streamed from beginning to end. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Step by step. That's wonderful. So now, if someone wanted to learn more about the 16th, give us, Mark or Mauro, the website or the page they can go to.
Well, the place where we could begin is the Archdiocesan website, which we're seeing on the screen right now. We also have the information on our Facebook page, which is Facebook Pastoral Migratoria, and we'll be putting up the information there as well.
So go to archchicago.org. When you get there, then what are you clicking?
Immigration ministry should be one
Good.
of the
Excellent.
one of the options.
Okay, so archchicago.org, click Immigration Ministry for Friday, December 16th, launching at 11 a.m., and the entire route, a little over a mile, and in Old St. Pat's for coffee, hot chocolate, and little sweets.
Pan dulce.
Pan dulce.
Sweet bread. Our daughter's name is Dulce. And some days she's sweet, some days she's not.
She's not sweet.
But what about Baltimore and New York? I'm still fascinated. How are they connecting to this?
Sure. Well, as mentioned earlier, they are doing simultaneous Posadas beginning at exactly
the same time.
Exactly the same time. And so they're going to follow our same model, and they will be doing the same prayers, doing the same rosary, and it's really exciting for us. And there's additional dioceses, which include Salt Lake City, Utah, Stockton, California, and Fresno, California,
Right.
which will be organizing Posadas for immigration reform at the parish level, whereas Baltimore and New York will be at the archdiocesan level.
Now, quick question for either Mark or Mauro, and that is, rain, sleet, blizzard, snow, whatever, you are marching and making the journey on the 16th. That is correct?
Indeed. Yeah, nothing will stop us.
And this probably wasn't a popular decision, but who says no? When you're knocking on a door, where are you knocking where they say no?
Yeah, you know what? Believe it or not, but that is one of the most difficult roles that people play. And sometimes they tell us that they really don't want to do it.
Exactly.
Tell them, no, please do it. You have to make a point.
That is great. Want to thank in a very, very special way for joining us this morning, Mark Goebel and Mauro Pineda, for great work you are doing.
Yes,
and God bless you.
Thank you.
Which will then be held a week from tomorrow, Friday, December 16th, beginning at 11 a.m. You go to archchicago.org, flip on or click on Immigration Ministry. So, Mark and Mauro, you've been two tremendous guests. Thank you for joining us, and God bless you. And we pray that the weather is decent, because it is mid-December, and maybe in the 30s, and no blizzard going on or sleet and rain. So we're listening to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750, 312-255-8408, youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sakowicz, Mark Teresi, God bless you. Stay with us. Do not touch that dial.
Take
care, Mark, tomorrow.
Catholic Charities' 75th annual celebration of giving is underway in support of those who are struggling to make ends meet every day. Individuals, families, colleagues, neighbors, parishioners, and friends purchase thousands of gifts and basic necessities to ensure Catholic Charities clients and their families have a joyful Christmas morning. There are many ways to get involved, including online wish lists that make giving easier than ever before. If you can join us in this special Chicago Christmas tradition as volunteers and donors, please email us at cog@catholiccharities.net. That's cog@catholiccharities.net. Or call 312-655-7401 in Cook County and 847-782-4210 in Lake County. Thank you for helping us spread Christmas cheer this year throughout Cook and Lake counties.
People always say, how can you spend your day with 3-year-olds? Seeing the changes that they go through and just the journey and how they grow, this is a very rewarding job. Even though at the end of the day, we're not the highest paid people on earth. And when I have a parent contact me and say, my child loves school, that to me, I'm setting that foundation for their love of learning. Because really, you are changing lives. You are molding lives.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
Did you know that Catholic Charities accepts car donations? If you're ready to free up space in your garage and put a stop to all those expenses that go along with owning a car, we will gratefully accept your donation, whether the car is running or not. You choose a pickup time that is convenient for you, and we will make the donation as easy as possible free of charge. You'll receive a charitable donation receipt as well. We accept all types of vehicles nationwide, and you will know that your donation is made to Catholic Charities, an agency you can trust. To learn more about donating your car, call 877-786-4483. That's 877-786-4483. Thank you.
The cemetery ministry is a core ministry of our Catholic faith tied to the corporal works of mercy. It's comforting to know that our Catholic cemeteries are caring for the remains of our loved ones awaiting the resurrection. There are 44 Archdiocese of Chicago Catholic cemeteries willing to help you in your time of loss. Call 708-449-6100 or visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org. Catholic Cemeteries, serving the Catholic community since 1837.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Welcome back to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ, 750 AM, 312-255-8408. Also catch us on youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sakowitz, director of the Cathedral, and co-host Mark Teresi. Here I am.
Here I am,
executive
Lord.
Director. And that was a great first half.
It sure was. Two dedicated men to an important mission, not only in our church, but in our country.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at our daughters were adopted, and under that adoption edict at that time in the country, they immediately became citizens.
Mm-hmm. And then what years was that, Mark?
Well, they've been with us 24 years. So
1998,
yeah,
roughly. And we have a great second half of the program lined up. The Shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe in Des Plaines is hosting Guadalupanas celebrations this weekend. Join us for the segment is the Very Reverend Ezekiel Sanchez, rector of the Shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe, a phenomenal priest in Chicago. And Mark, another recruit that we did together at Niles College Seminary when a young Zeke Sanchez came looking to apply for the college seminary. Father Sanchez, good morning. Welcome to the program. How are you doing, Ezekiel?
Yes, and you were foolish enough to accept me. And very grateful for that.
But now, Zeke, I have to ask you this. You came to Niles College Seminary in September of 1989, And you came in as a sophomore?
Yeah. I was already in engineering school.
That's it.
And I transferred, to consider my vocation.
And Mark,
so the hard part is the jump from an engineering curriculum to a liberal arts one was quite the challenge. So,
and I have to share this with Mark.
The Niles was great. The seminary was the best choice I've ever made. So,
and then when Ezekiel came to see me, he was so afraid that I was the vocation director, that I was going to turn him down and say, "Thank you for coming, but goodbye.
Go be an engineer."
And I saw this young man, Ezekiel Sanchez, and said, if by the grace of God he gets ordained, he will be a great priest in the Archdiocese. And you entered in 89, and you were ordained in 1995?
95.
In 95.
And as Dean of Students, Zeke, anytime I saw you, I knew it was something positive. You had an idea, but there were some guys there that the minute I saw them at my office, I knew something was
something wrong. And maybe just
you can probably name them, Zeke, but we won't.
Now, Zeke, a question, Zeke, and that is, maybe for a moment your vocation story, because people sometimes forget we were not hatched wearing collars. We were born into a family, into a community, struggled with vocation, your story, my story, all our stories. It's the grace of God. God does a calling to the priesthood, and we responded with the help and grace of God. What made you change your mind from, you said it was engineering, to priesthood? What happened in that transition in those early college years?
Yeah.
Well, I guess God in His providence works in interesting ways. My father had become sick with a tumorous cancer in the frontal lobe of his brain, and so that incapacitated and made him semi-comatose for the most part. And so I really wasn't feeling I wanted to be an engineer, because I don't have the personality of an engineer. Engineers are this, they want to just solve problems and math and all, which is great. I loved it, but that wasn't me. And so I was thinking about transferring to another career, possibly teaching. And that's when my pastor asked if I would consider being a priest, of which I had no experience with at all.
What parish did you belong to? What parish
I was St. Agnes of what is now St. Agnes of Bohemia.
So who was your pastor then?
The most Reverend John Mance. He was father.
Oh my gosh! Oh, what a tremendous priest!
It's his fault. But I think when people ask me about my vocation, what's the biggest reason? I think growing up in that particular neighborhood in the time, if you remember how tough it was, the best thing I always tell people is I love the church very much because the church saved me. The direction I was going in my life, and it's really an incredible thing for a young person to find their vocation, to find it's such a liberating experience. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You have a sense of what you're supposed to do.
Now so Bishop Mans is retired, but tell us a little bit about him from your perspective at that point in your life.
Well, he was a real joy to have as a pastor. I loved his homilies. We would go to Mass on Sunday. We were a very strong practicing Catholic family. I wasn't as involved in the church. I helped out with religious education. I guess that's where he saw that the potential might be seen, because I was trying out this teaching thing for a little bit, and I was excited through religious education, being a CCD teacher. And then him and the associate, Father Mike Enright, said,
great priest,
take a chance on him. So they were bold enough to invite me to think about it.
That's wonderful.
That is a great story.
What did you think when he was named a bishop, Bishop Mans?
Did not surprise me.
What did you think when you heard that?
Well, I was already ordained only a few months. As a priest, he was ordained in 95. So I looked at him and I said, you just can't stand that I got the same rank as you.
That's a great line.
When I see John, I'm going to have to tell him that. That's a
great line.
That's a great line. You can't stand me the same equal with me. When I see John, I'm going to have to tell him that.
Yeah.
Now, switching gears a little bit, Zeke, and that is, you are the rector of Our Lady of Guadalupe Shrine in Des Plaines, and a huge event is happening on December 12th, with the thousands and thousands will expect to come. Tell us about it.
Well, I mean, it's a yearly event. Last year we had almost 400,000 people come through the property, and they came to see Our Lady of Guadalupe. I think the one thing I can say, Greg and Mark, is that when I look at how all the media right now, the Tribune and everyone has been encouraging people to go, we were reflecting about it the other day, and we were saying how we have made it into the psychology of the society here in the Midwest. We have that they're encouraged, that they're telling people to go to the shrine. This is how you do it. Be safe. Yeah, they've been very, very positive. The experience we've been preparing every year, we get better. The biggest issue we always have is making sure everybody's safe. So sometimes you have to put rules that people may not like, but they're there for their safety. And so it's a beautiful experience just to serve, to watch the pilgrims and the reason why they come. And so I'm always in awe. So one of the things I always train our volunteers is to remind them that they're not here to see us, the pilgrims. They come to see her. And our job is to be at the service of Our Lady as her pilgrims come to spend a moment of intimacy with her.
I like that.
Powerful.
I like that. And so now logistically, for Guadalupe, when does the whole thing begin? Because I know people will come walking for miles. And I think it was maybe, Zeke, about 10, 15 years ago, when there was an outdoor mass. I think it was either around midnight or late in the evening. It must have been 10 degrees below zero, wind chill about 20 to below, and thousands of people at the outdoor mass. It was an incredible cold day. So what logistically, people start walking toward the shrine on the 12th in the morning?
Well, people started their pilgrimages the 9 days before. So even on December 3rd, we had a huge pilgrimage of equestrian riders that this year I was able to lead. And it was about 600 horse and riders that came for that. They're coming from everywhere for this. And it was a lot of fun. And then there's just a list of things that we wind up doing. So preparing for the
you can't park your horse here.
Did you hear what Greg said? He said, you can't park your horse there.
Well, sure. Just make sure you got a trailer to take them home. So people are already preparing for that. I think that's part of our strategy, is to begin to psychologically prepare people for such a trek. Because you're right, Greg, when people do walk 10, 15 miles in the cold weather, you have to remind them you need to get ready for that. You just don't walk out of your house and start walking.
Right.
We want to encourage people to call their parishes to ask if they got a group going. Some of the municipalities around us, like Franklin Park, Stone Park, Rosemont, literally shut down an entire lane so that the pilgrims can walk up to the shrine. And we've had wonderful relationships with Des Plaines, and they do everything possible to make sure everybody gets there safely. Sometimes it's a little long because the lines are long, but people don't mind. They'll come and do it, and we're getting ready for all that wonderful celebration.
Beautiful. You know, we're going to take a little break. WNDZ 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408. You go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago with Father Zeke Sanchez. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about specifics. What happens that day on the 12th? I know my wife and I have gotten caught. We weren't heading there. We got caught in the traffic sometimes. So
now, Father Sanchez, I've got to go say Mass back at the cathedral. I need to leave the program in the hands of Mark and with you. So God bless Father Sanchez. Keep up your great ministry, and we'll talk soon.
Okay.
Mark, take care.
Okay, thanks.
God bless everybody.
We'll be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
Catholic Charity's 75th annual celebration of giving is underway in support of those who are struggling to make ends meet every day. Individuals, families, colleagues, neighbors, parishioners, and friends purchase thousands of gifts and basic necessities to ensure Catholic Charities clients and their families have a joyful Christmas morning. There are many ways to get involved, including online wish lists that make giving easier than ever before. If you can join us in this special Chicago Christmas tradition as volunteers and donors, please email us at cog@catholiccharities.net. That's cog@catholiccharities.net. Or call 312-655-7401 in Cook County and 847-782-4210 in Lake County. Thank you for helping us spread Christmas cheer this year throughout Cook and Lake counties.
This is year 44 for me teaching. When I started here, there were teachers here that had taught me when I was a student. Now I'm the old person. Right now, I teach junior high math. I love when kids find what I'm teaching to be fun and they get it. I see that light bulb go off and it's a thrill. People are always amazed. What? You're here for 44 years? It's hard for me to believe, frankly. I love what I do. Every summer I think, oh, I miss the classroom. Even on the weekends, I think I can't wait to get back on Monday and teach those quadratic equations.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
We're back, WNDZ, 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-840. You go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. The Shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe Displays is hosting Guadalupanas celebrations this weekend. We're speaking with Very Reverend Zeke Sanchez about those celebrations. Zeke, what can you tell folks as a parish or even an individual prepares to come for the celebrations? You're into this weekend and Monday, correct? Yeah, give people kind of an overview and not only how they get there, but what they can expect when they get there.
Well, thank you. So this year, the celebration lands on Sunday night and all day Monday. So the 11th and 12th of December, the feast day is the 12th of December. I think that when people come, especially the larger crowds really begin to show up in the evening hours. For example, the opening mass begins at 8 p.m. with a fireworks display. We also have the blessing of a holy fire that people want to bless their candles as they prepare for prayer for Our Lady Guadalupe in their homes. From there, we have what we call las mañanitas, which is serenades to our Blessed Mother. So people wind up singing. So it's very festive. Very, very beautiful. And then the midnight mass, and then after that, the schedule of prayers and masses, etc., happen with the closing of the liturgy at 7 p.m. on Monday, offered by Bishop Jeffrey Grubb. And by the way, Cardinal will be joining us on Sunday at 6 p.m. here at the shrine to kind of help kick everything off. And so it's always great to have our leaders, our bishops, join us and be part of the community on such a significant celebration that means so much to people, not just Hispanics. Everyone has become Armenians, Indians, Greeks, Poles, everybody who has a strong devotion to our Blessed Mother. Americans clearly, they take the pilgrimage and realize what a pilgrimage is supposed to be. Mark, when a lot of people say we're going on pilgrimage, they're normally going to go on a bus and 5-star hotels, and they're going to go some country somewhere. This is the original sense of that. You get up and you take your heart with you. It's an act of prayer, and so everybody who comes here, it's not about it's not a rock concert,
right?
It's really an act of prayer. You come to see her, and you come with your heart, with your intentions, with your needs, with your hopes. And it's a miraculous place indeed.
I bet there are moments of powerful silence.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah.
One of the, if I may, one year we had one of our local media who didn't understand what Our Lady of Guadalupe was about. And I said, well, why don't you ask one of the pilgrims? And he was a gentleman who was walking for over a mile on his knees. And I thought that was extreme penance. And when she asked him, why are you doing such an extreme penance, to make a long story short, the gentleman, and I translated for him, and she said to the lady, she says, ma'am, I have a little girl. I have no papers. I have no money, and she's dying. Our Lady is my last hope. So the size of the penances that you see people do is often only a reflection of the size of the concerns that they have in their hearts. And so whatever it is life has thrown at them, right. So we're ministers to that. We don't judge them. We're just help them get to her. Just help them get to to fulfill his promise, so he can get whatever grace he needs.
And the trust they have. I'd mentioned earlier in the program, our two youngest daughters were adopted from Mexico City, and they were in a public orphanage, Casa de Cuna, and we saw people on their knees moving toward the shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and we were at Mass there, and they have that treadway where people kind of go past Our Lady of Guadalupe. And all of a sudden, we're at Mass, and gets to the Our Father. And now our daughters are in a public orphanage, and they start Padre Nuestro que estás. They knew their prayers. And I said, how did you learn them? Oh, the ladies taught us. It was a public orphanage, but the faith is so deep, they taught them their prayers. They taught them how to connect to Our Lady of Guadalupe. They taught them their Mass prayers. And I thought, that's a powerful core, I'm sure, of so many people coming there. And that transcends whatever nationality you are. I mean, it's
indeed.
It's a global, 400,000 people is a global movement. How many, now, on a practical side, so I had mentioned, I forget what year, we didn't know what was going on, and and you get in that traffic and you're there. I mean, how do people, if they want to make the pilgrimage, are there parking areas? Are people giving in displays of that? Are they giving you parking lots where people can park and then walk, or how does that work?
Happily, yes. We do have off-site parking spots. We also have shuttle buses that we provide from those shuttle buses, so people can park at Oakton Community College or Pewaukee. If you visit our website, you can find all that information for us. That's www.solg.org.
Say it again, please. Say it again, please.
www.solg.org.
Okay, good.
And that will give you the maps. That's the website there. And when you stroll down, you'll find all the information, but you also find it's in Spanish, but you can also find it in English if you hit the little American flag up on top, and you can get all of the English information as well. So it's all bilingual, ready for everyone to.
Michael's put it up on our YouTube so people can see that.
Yeah, so they're all prepared to receive their. For everyone to get ready for that. But once again, we encourage this. We put all this information up so that people can get ready. And it's best to come as groups, whether you drive or walk or whatever. It's always best to come as a group, primarily because it goes easier on traffic, but also part of the enjoyment is meant to be shared. I think one of the things that we've learned after the COVID is that isolation has done its harm, and wonderful celebrations such as these that are so welcoming that, like I said, we're not going to a rock concert. We're not going to go see a famous person. We're getting together as people of faith to open our hearts together. And that is, I think, more than anything, has brought some healing to the life of so many people.
Have you ever thought in your wildest imaginings, maybe first when you were studying to be an engineer, but then you were ordained a priest, that you would be managing an event where 400,000 people come?
I was just happy I got 50 people come to Mass on Sunday. Like Jesus, I have small expectations of myself.
I mean,
no, I think it's all grace. I think I'm not only its rector, I'm also a pilgrim as well on that day. I remind everybody, I think you might remember that I went through a very difficult time in an airplane crash. And one of the things that happened when I came back to Chicago after that horrible experience was I came and I was a pilgrim. I brought flowers to our Blessed Mother and thanked our Blessed Mother for bringing me home safely. And on that night, it was almost about midnight.
Yeah.
There was about 4 families that they approached me and they said, "Father, we were on the airplane with you."
Wow.
And so other survivors were right in front of Our Lady of Guadalupe at the same hour, midnight, at the shrine when I was giving my homage. So, you see, you pick up things and it's an honor. It's truly an honor, as I tell all of our volunteers. I don't take any credit for anything. We are at her service and we provide the best service we can do because she is the one calling the community. She is the one preparing us for Christmas. She's the ultimate expression of Advent. And so she's a pregnant lady, ready to give birth to her son, asking everyone, prepare yourself for my son. I'm going to give you all of my love, my help, and my protection, who is Jesus, her son.
Now, at this stage, how many volunteers are involved in an event like this?
We're about at 350 volunteers throughout the whole both days. So lots and lots of volunteers have come to give us a hand, and they're doing it out of faith. They're doing it out of love. They really love this celebration.
And you're okay on that number?
Yeah, so far so good.
Okay.
We always have. There's always a need for one thing or another, but with something like this, it's very fluid. When you have that many people coming, you prepare yourself to whatever may come. All of our deacons, all of our clergy. We're not sleeping. We spend hours. We literally spend 36 hours blessing everybody, everything, masses, rosaries, confession, you name it. We're out there doing it, and I'm very proud of our team. I'm very proud of our staff and my brother deacons and my brother priests who help us to really attend to the spiritual needs of the community. I think when you talk about other Guadalupe celebrations, and we're not the only shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe in the country,
right?
But I think. But one of the things I think that makes us unique is that, we don't use Guadalupe to bring people. We're at the service of Our Lady. We don't use the image to draw people in. We honor Our Lady, and whatever the pilgrims, what their engagement is going to be, what their relationship with her is going to be, we're at the service of that relationship.
Beautiful. So in closing, Father Zeke, give people, again, instructions on the events coming up and how to get there, and your reference on your website, the whole shot.
Yeah, so to see all the information, please visit us at www.solg.org. And, more than welcome to find out all the information or give us a call if you have any more. But again, come as a group, prepare yourself well. You can come anytime. We got Sunday masses going on. Cardinal will be here at 6 p.m. But the whole atmosphere is meant to receive anybody. So people can come at any time. There's no one specific time to come. But you'll see there some of the festivities and activities that are going, and you can decide how you want to make your pilgrimage this year.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for joining us this morning, Reverend. Very reverend Zeke Sanchez.
That and $2 get you on the bus.
You got that right. But I had to say it. So thanks for joining us. Look forward to people joining you. Join those hundreds of thousands that are coming and expressing their deep faith in Mary and the journey that they're on with her. I mean, that's what I learned in Mexico. She is ever present. This is a great reminder that she is in everybody's hearts. So thank you.
Yeah, she's the Empress of all America, and we're living in it. So she belongs to us, and she promises all her love, her help, and protection.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, and we'll end with Our Lady of Guadalupe. Pray for us. Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.